Hi guys, how's it going? And welcome back to our garden. So I've got some maintenance to do, garden maintenance, those chores that we have to do that we don't necessarily enjoy doing, but they have to be done and they just make everything look a little bit better. So I did another video of how I maintain some more sort of earlier spring flowers, spring plants. So go and check that out if you missed that. But today we've got some more maintaining to do in the shape of pruning. So we're going to start off with the roses. So just behind me, you can just see we've got some beautiful pink roses. So that's Boscobel, David Austin roses. They've been blooming their heads off, but there are some blooms that are ready to be pruned off, to be cut off. So I'll just show you how to do it. And there's two different sort of stages that you can do. So there she is in all her glory. But as you can see, there are some blooms now that are just looking a little bit tired and a little bit dry. So we need to really come and prune those off. So pruning, when you prune off your rose flowers, it'll encourage further blooms as well. So it's a really important thing to keep on top of, not only for it to look nice, but also to encourage those extra blooms to bloom. So there's a couple of ways you can do pruning for roses. So this is a Floribunda rose. So as you can see, you've got more than one flower on one stem. So same with this one. So you've got a flower that's opened, a couple of buds. So what you can do, if you've got one of the roses in the bunch of flowers that's ready to be pruned off, you can just sort of follow that stem down to the main stem and then just snip it off. So you're not snipping off the whole stem, you're leaving those two buds to flower. So that's the first stage. Then there's another stage where you get to where you've got all the roses on one stem that need to be pruned off. So for example, this one, there's only 3 flowers here, there's no more buds appearing on this stem, and they really need to be chopped back. So the way you do it is you follow the main stem down, and you want to follow it to the first set of 5 leaves, basically. So we're going to follow it down. And also another thing to be aware of is which way the leaves are pointing. So for instance here, this is at the back of the plant. So what we want to do is choose a leaf that's actually pointing backwards. So it's not pointing into the plant, it's pointing backwards. So if you choose a set of leaves that's pointing outwards here, for example, it means that the next growth is going to be outwards rather than inwards towards the plant. So we've got this bunch of flowers, so we're going to follow it down. So we've got one there that's only got 4 leaves. That one looks a little bit weedy, so we're going to leave that one. We'll follow it even further down. So as you can see, there is leaves coming out this way, which I don't want, because that's going to be growing towards the plant. It means the branch is going to be growing towards the centre of the plant, which is what we don't want. So if we follow it down even further, I'll see if I can capture a really good shot. So follow it down even further, we're going to get to this set of leaves here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. It's pointing away. So we're just going to cut it just above that stem. So there we go, all cleaned up. And as you can see, there are just tons and tons of buds. So this is about ready for its second flush here. So there's a couple I've left on because they were still looking really, really pretty. Look at that. Look how gorgeous that is. But yeah, it's doing really, really well, especially that branch there. That's like, pardon me, that is just amazing how many buds are on that. But yeah, it looks much better as well. And then hopefully all those, cutting off those other old blooms are going to encourage lots of new ones as well. So I've got this Euphorbia here, I think it's called Ascot Rainbow, and it's been blooming so beautifully all spring, but I think it's really, really needing a bit of a haircut. And especially we had a lot of rain earlier on today and it's just starting to weigh down. So what I'm going to do is just show you how I prune these Euphorbia. So with Euphorbia, you've got to just be careful because when you do chop into the stem, you get this sort of white sap and it can be a bit sticky, and it can irritate some people's skin. It doesn't irritate mine, but it can irritate some people's skin. So if that is the case, just wear gloves when you're doing some pruning for the Euphorbias. Alright, so I'm just going to sort of show you how I prune it. So just taking one of these bloom stalks down, and you can sort of take it all the way down. You can start to see where you get the leaves growing. So what I'm going to do is chop it all the way down to about there. And the same with this one. Chop it down to about there. And we're just going to keep going. Keep going all the way around. So I'll show you what it looks like in the end. So this is the after. So I've basically just chopped down all the bloom stalks down to this sort of leaf canopy. I've sort of tried to make it a little bit sort of even into a little bit of a mound again, and then it will just start to push new growth again. Oh, that looks so much better. so much better. Alright guys, so I've got one last plant that I want to tackle. So I don't know if you can see behind me here, we've got a yarrow, Achillea, and it's blooming really, really pretty. Really lovely blooms. However, you can see the centre, it's just kind of all splaying out. So I think I know what's happened. We've had a very, very dry few months. We've literally had next to no rainfall. So what I've been doing is supplement watering in the garden, and I think I've gone a bit overboard with this because yarrow doesn't really like much water. It doesn't like fertiliser. So crummy soil, no water. So I think I overwatered it because I've got a beautiful rose next to it. So I've been trying to water that, and I think obviously some of the water's gone on into the yarrow, roots. So it's just basically made it splay and fall out, and it just looks, well, it just looks unsightly. So I think what I'm going to have to do is forfeit the blooms that are on it at the minute, and I'm just going to shear it back right down to the bottom, and it will start to push new growth. It will just take a little while for it to get going. It's going to do the leaves, and then hopefully we'll still get another flush of flowers. So it's a bit of a shame, but it just looks so unsightly. So I've got to do something about it. So I'll just show you how I do it. Very, very easy again. Just kind of shear it all the way back, nearly to the ground, and then fingers crossed, hope for those leaves to come, and then hopefully some blooms as well before the season's over. All right, let's get after it. So I've just sort of cut most of the stalks all the way down. I'm going to tidy it up a little bit. So we're going to be left with a little bit of a mound here, but I'm just going to get it tidied up so it looks a little bit neat and then ready for it to start pushing new growth again. So there you go, there is the mound. So what I'm going to do as well, so you can see there's quite a lot of sort of dead leaves, sort of brown leaves in here. So I'm just going to pull some of that out as well, because that just makes it look a bit unsightly. So if I get all that pulled out, make sure there's a lot of airflow there as well. Get rid of all this dry, dead stuff. And you know, yarrow is very forgiving, so you know, you can do a lot to it and it'll still regrow and yeah, push new leaves, push new flowers. So it might just take a little bit of time to just readjust. There you go. And the key is not to give it too much water and not to give it any fertilizer really. So there you go. That just looks a lot cleaner, a lot better. I know there's a bit of a gap there at the minute, but it will grow. All right guys, so I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.